Welcome once again. Most of you know me. My name is Unduka Ude, and today I am going to be talking about exporting fashion items to the USA. And when we talk about exporting fashion items, I'm talking about exporting it the right way, right? Following the processes and procedures that will ensure that your fashion items get there perfectly without issues, without any stress from US Customs. Now, I decided to do this video because somebody sent me a message. She was like, look, I tried to export some fashion items. They were held. They said, I think it had something to do with the HS code. She had used the wrong HS code, and when they did the physical examination, customs held it thinking that the person was trying to evade duties. Now, I can't go too deep into HS code in this training, but again, if you follow me, you're going to see other trainings where I'm going to talk about HS code. But today, I'm going to talk briefly about fashion. If you are exporting fashion, what are the key things that you need to do? Number one is you must have your packing list. I'm sure most of you know what packing list is, right? It's just a list that says these are the things that are in my shipment, right? And I'm going to show you an example of a packing list later on. But for now, let me list all the things that you need to take note of when you're exporting. The next one is your commercial invoice. Now, a lot of times you may not need a packing list. If you are just shipping one item in one box, you don't really need to worry about a packing list. But a situation where you have multiple boxes, you are shipping different items, then you're going to have to worry about a packing list. But a commercial invoice is almost the same as a packing list. The only difference is that you're going to have the cost of the items on it. Right? Again, I'm going to show you more details about what a commercial invoice looks like. Now, the next thing you need to be worried about is trademark and copywriting. Why is this important? Right? There's a lot of fake items out there, especially those of you who are exporting from Africa. You're going to have things like Gucci with a Y, Gucci, or Versace with a K. You need to be careful what you are doing. Somebody sent me a message one time and they were like, I'm bringing items from China and co, and can I export it to the USA? So what did she want to do? What she wanted to do was to go to China, pay for some of those fake designs. They know it is not authentic and they can get it from China and then export it to the USA. Don't ever do it. If you ever bring anything into the USA that is not original from the original company, they don't discuss it. The US Customs will seize it and seize it for good. There is no discussion on whether they are going to release it or anything. Once it's fake, it's not copyrighted, it's not from the original manufacturers, those things are gone. Now, the next thing you need to worry about is what I call FTC labeling. Now, who is the FTC? FTC is the Federal Trade Commission in the USA. And what they do is to make sure that when you are selling anything in the USA, you are telling people the right thing about what you're selling. There is no deception. If you say it contains this, then it contains that, right? And this is very important, especially when you begin to sell in large quantities. What happens is that your competitors are going to start looking at you and they are going to try to see if you are breaking any rule. And if you break any rule, they take you up to the FTC. So what are some of the things that the FTC is worried about? One is the fiber content. What is that fashion item made of? Right? Is it 20% polyester? Is it 80% cotton? Is it 100% cotton? FTC is trying to protect consumers. They want to make sure that you are telling consumers the right thing about what you are exporting. The next thing they are interested in is the care instruction. Now, what is the care instruction? How you take care of the fabric. Very, very important. If you are selling these fashion items, right, if you look at most fashion items that are sold in the USA, you typically see a label that has some of these things telling you how to take care of it. Now, the next one is country of origin. People want to know if what they are buying is made in the USA or made in other countries. Very important. And again, the FTC is very much interested in making sure that you are not doing any form of deceptive practices. Now, this is probably going to be important when you are selling in bulk. You're trying to sell on Amazon. You're trying to sell on various websites. You're trying to sell to wholesalers. That's when you typically be worried about this. But under normal circumstances, you shouldn't really worry too much about that. The next one is AGOA. Most of the people that I talk to, most of you are in Africa, okay? So what is AGOA? AGOA is the African Growth and Opportunity Act. It's basically a legislation by the US government that allows countries in the sub-Saharan African region to export items to the USA duty-free. Now, imagine if you have a container, right, that is about $100,000. And normally the duty coming from China could be 25, could be 30%. I talk about that when I treat the HS code in a different section. But again, if the duty is 25%, that means that $100,000 container, you're going to pay $25,000 in duty. But if you are bringing those items from an AGOA eligible country, what does it mean? Your duty becomes zero. And that saves you a lot of money. Imagine you're bringing in items worth 100,000 and you are only paying what? Zero in duty. That already puts you ahead of those. That can make your products to be a lot cheaper, right? So again, if you are exporting fashion items to the USA, these are the key things that you need to take care of, right? Number one, again, I said, is the packing list. And I'm going to delve a little bit deep into this because, again, most times, for most of you, probably 95% of you who are going to be exporting, you are only going to be worried about number one and number two. Those are the two key things you're going to need to worry about: your packing list and your commercial invoice. You're not going to have to worry too much about all this because, again, most of you are not going to be sending copyrighted items. You're going to be sending things that you made by yourself, right? You are not buying any Gucci with a Y or Versace with a K. So the other one is the FTC labeling. Like I already said, this is only when you are selling in large quantities. But again, take note, make sure your label, your fiber content, your care instruction, country of origin, all those things are there in the label. And then for AGOA. So let me talk briefly about packing list. What is packing list? I have a little description of a packing list here. You may not be able to see it clearly. So I'll basically explain. A packing list is just a document that is submitted to US Customs that basically shows what is in the package that you are shipping. Again, I'm going to do a special training on this. But again, for most of you, it's easy. You can go online, Google US packing list or US commercial invoice and make a replica of it. But again, for a packing list, the key things you need to have are the details of the seller, which is you, details of the buyer, and then you're going to have the details of the shipment. So things like, I typically like the HS code there, right? You're going to have the item description. So basically telling them what the particular item is. You're going to have the unit of measure. Is it in kg? You're going to have the quantity, right? You're going to have the number of boxes, the box type. You're going to have the size of the box. So size, you're going to have weight. And for fashion, there's something I always like to include is the composition. Right? Very, very important. So again, this is typically what you're going to have in your packing list, right? You're going to have the HS code, the description of the item. The HS code is the technical customs definition of the item. It's a 6-digit number, but it could be more than that, that tells custom the actual item based on their classification. And it is what is used to determine the duty. A lot of times, some people don't put HS code in the packing list, but I always like to have it there. Then next, you have the description that tells you children's dress, baby dress, all those type of things. Then you have the unit. The unit could be, in terms of fashion, is going to be count. Right? So that tells you if the quantity is 2, if it's count, that means it's 2 pieces. You could also use pieces. Typically, you get the unit from the HS code. When you check the HS code, it will tell you what the unit is. And then the quantity, number of boxes, the type of box, the size. Now, the essence of this is so that when you are shipping multiple items, right? Say, imagine you have a container and you have so many items in the container. By the time you have the packing list on each of these containers, what happens? Customs is able to know where each particular item is. And that is the essence of the packing list. Your shipment of fashion to the USA must have a packing list. The other one is the commercial invoice. Now, the commercial invoice is almost the same as the packing list. The only thing is that we don't worry about these box sizes and all those type of things. But instead, we have obviously the unit, the quantity, the unit cost, and then the total cost, right? Because the commercial invoice is used to determine how much duty you have to pay. And that again ties into your HS code, right? Very, very important. Now, the composition, on the other hand, is very important when it comes to fashion, because the duty rate on maybe a dress that has 20% polyester and one that has a different percentage of cotton will vary depending on the HS code. So it's very important to put the composition when you are dealing with that. So again, like I said, these are the key things. I don't treat HS code and packing list in depth in this training. This was just a quick video I decided to shoot because somebody was confused, sent me a message and was complaining of what are the things that I need to export fashion items to the USA. So to recap again, for most of you, you're going to need just the packing list and the commercial invoice. Take it to your shipping company and you are good. They will do the rest. But for those of you who are shipping items made by other people, make sure there's no copyright or trademark infringement. Don't ship Gucci or all those things if you don't have the license and authorization from them to ship it. Make sure your labels meet FTC labeling requirements. If you are shipping under AGOA, make sure you have followed the AGOA rules. Now, for fashion, under AGOA, fashion has special rules that you have to follow, right? I'm not going to treat that in this requirement because, again, most people who are shipping under AGOA, first, your country has to be eligible to ship under AGOA. Your country also has to be eligible to ship textile under AGOA. And then there's what you call the AGOA visa stamp, right? Like I said, I'm not going in depth into AGOA for fashion, but those are the key things that you need to ship fashion. Now, I'm going to be having an event very soon. A 2-day event is holding in Lagos, Nigeria, March 6th to 7th, and I'm going to be treating all these things in depth. We're going to be looking at how to grow your export business, and it's an event you should not miss. Check the link below. You'll be able to register. I hope that helps you, shows you everything you need to ship your fashion items. My name again is Nduka Ode. My goal is simple: to help you Africans increase your wealth by exporting everyday items to the USA. See you another day.